Yeah, I think you two are the only two left.
Glenn filled out hers?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Are we ready? Yeah. I would like to call to order this meeting of the Open Space and Ecology. It is. Hello. Now is it? Oh.
There.
I would like to call to order this meeting of the Open Space and Ecology Committee, Wednesday, August 27th at 6:29 p.m. We've been going wild and starting 1 minute early here. I believe there are some requests for changes to the agenda. Shall we start there?
Yeah, I'd like to request that we remove item number 5 and 5I from tonight's agenda and put that on the next meeting's agenda. I know that Glenn wishes to speak about the Levinson property. I have not had the ability to be able to prepare for that yet. I haven't read the report, and I would like to. And also Mary Gudenkonst, I believe, wants to come and speak on that. So I'd love to move that to the next meeting.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Motion carried.
One other thing is that I do need to leave at about 10 to 8 tonight, so we'll have to go pretty fast to get through all of the things on the agenda.
So I have a quick question concerning item number 6, pave yards and peripheral pavements. Did you guys have a chance to prepare any statements concerning that issue?
I did not.
Okay. Since nobody has any, is prepared with thoughts and ideas to discuss regarding that issue, then I think we should also defer that one to the next meeting. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All right.
And the other item that probably should be moved to the next meeting is item number 9, approval of the minutes. I was not here for the last meeting, so I can't say yay or nay, and you don't have a quorum to vote on that.
Okay. Good point, Michelle. All right. We have now an abbreviated agenda. Do I have a motion for the agenda as modified?
I move to,
Adopt?
yes.
Okay. Michelle?
Second.
All right, we're good. So any oral communications for items not on the agenda? No?
Nope,
Kima?
nothing.
There is one thing that I did want to bring up, and maybe we can discuss it at the next meeting of the Open Space and Ecology Committee, and that is number Thomas is up for sale. Is that one of
What
those?
is?
99.
99 Thomas?
Oh,
Is that a Ridgeline viewshed property?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I would tend to think so.
but let's wait a second.
Okay.
Is it legally a viewshed property? Because the viewshed ordinance only applies to acres property, and I do not know if 99 Thomas is an acres property or not.
Mm-hmm.
So could we find that out, or do you know, Karen?
I'm not an attorney, so I do not know, but yeah, staff can find that out and report back to you.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm just wanted to bring this to the attention to the committee at large to see if we wanted to stick our noses in it.
Well,
Because there was so much trouble surrounding the other property on Thomas.
Yeah.
And I think some of us with open space and ecology minds are not entirely sure it was handled with the mountain's best interests. So.
yeah. One thing I did want to bring up, and I would like us to go back and revisit we never came to a conclusion of what we were going to present to the council, or if we did, I don't know where it's at right now, about lot coverage for acres, lots, and configuration and interior courtyards.
Yeah.
And that's sort of an open issue, and I'd like to bring that back to next month's agenda And Natalie, if you could give us the review material on that so that we know where we were at with that. It sort of slipped through the cracks, and I apologize because that was something I brought to the table that is very near and dear to my heart, and I've been very distracted the last 2 months with the passing of my dad. So I have not stayed on top of that situation, and we need to. In particular, if 99 Thomas is a comes under that acres property as opposed to a residential Brisbane.
So, okay. It looks like we will be sticking our noses in it, at least cursorily.
I wouldn't call it that.
Really?
It's a very unique property. Certainly would be desirable to people who enjoy their views. But I think it also can be subdivided into 5 properties, which could be problematic, depending on your opinions on that kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, it's not our role to tell government what to do, but I do think maybe the Ecology Committee could make some recommendations and put some thought into it. So, any other oral communications for items not on the agenda? No? Okay. Let's move on to...
Oh, one more thing.
Sorry.
When we do at the next meeting, discuss the Levinson property, we might want to put that at the beginning of the agenda because I do know that Mary Gutenkunst is interested in coming. So we should make sure that A, she is available that night, and then B, put it at the beginning of the agenda so that she can attend.
Sure.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
That's fine. Great. Number 3, preparation to meet with OSEC liaison. Natalie, would you like to start us off?
So your suggestion was last meeting to kind of put something into a spreadsheet or in some form so people can vote and kind of prioritize items. So I put in the packet what you sent in, what Michael sent in, and something Glenn sent. But since the liaison meeting is being pushed, I think, to October now, then we have more time for people to turn this back in and revisit.
Okay. I certainly think we should have them prior to our next meeting. I believe we will need to set our next meeting as a letter, and that's not an agenda item, but we usually do that at the end of the meeting. So, okay. We will need to address that when we address our schedule. Any other comments on item number 3?
No, I can get my response in before our next meeting.
Me too.
Okay, great.
I do have a comment. I think this is really good, the way that you've organized it. Did you find it easy to use and prioritize?
Well, and Natalie did the organization, so we should thank her. No, I did not find it easy because I wanted to put 1 on everything. But
1.2s or 1.5s or okay, she stuck to round integers, right? Okay, good.
But it was very, environmental issues being so dear to me, it was personally very difficult. However, I don't think hashing it out in committee would have been any better. So it is what it is.
Well, I think that it'll help Keena and I seeing yours and Michael's. And did you give us Glenn's? I don't have Glenn's.
Glenn's is more a form of an email.
Oh, okay.
So I was sort of thinking we would all be voting anonymously, but doesn't really matter.
Oh, no, I think it's good to see where everybody's interest lies, because if only one person is hot for an item, then they can take it up separately.
Well, given the nature of the, responses, everybody's going to put a number next to something, right? So if you're ranking things 1 through 4, there'll be an answer for all of them. Yeah, but that's a trivial point. Nonetheless, I think it's good to all weigh in on what our thoughts and priorities are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There is one thing that's not on the agenda that I think does need to be discussed tonight. I'm sorry, backtracking. We don't have the community festival on here.
Oh, big oversight.
I put that in next month's.
That might be a little late to prepare.
Yeah.
Oh, do you still have that boot available?
The boot.
Foot
There was a foot that we could use
Boot
to make
foot.
a pinata.
from work, Michelle?
Oh, it wasn't a foot. It was a inflatable flip-flop.
Flip-flop foot? Or just flip-flop?
Just the flip-flop.
Oh, I thought it was a foot with a flip-flop.
I thought we were going to order that foot.
So I think it was last meeting that we said we'll try to make it first, and if not, because it's a
Yeah,
$100
and you weren't here
fee.
for that one, Michelle.
I'll tell you honestly, I missed that part. I thought we were agreed we were going to order it and that $100 was a bargain.
Uh-huh.
Was my thought on that.
Should we just go and order?
Yeah, I mean, I think the things that Natalie found were not super, they were good. I mean, they showed real effort on your part, but they were not super exciting.
No, we had that one place that was going to do the custom one.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
Yeah, and I sent a picture of a foot, and we talked about it being a black foot, and
Yeah.
for the carbon footprint, and
Yeah.
or maybe black just on the bottom of the foot, or I don't know. But I think that we should go ahead and I was going to say, where's the pinata?
Given this late date, I think perhaps Michelle has a point.
Well, I thought about it, and I thought, all that paper mache, all that mess, we really don't know what we're doing.
I
and-
thought I had suggested last meeting that we try and get the kids to do it. But,
You up for that?
how much time do we have left, calendar-wise, before the community festival?
With or without holidays and weekends?
Yeah,
About
Yeah.
a month,
about a
month.
month.
Yeah.
and it takes about a month if I were to order it now.
Yeah.
I would rather be safe than sorry and go ahead and order it. I
Yeah.
know that, there's probably, we'll make it worth the $100. How's that?
Okay.
Even if we have to run around the park with the big foot.
I'm fine with that.
Okay.
Last month, I would have liked to have gotten the kids involved because we're supposed to be doing more community outreach. But I think given the state, that we should go with Michelle's idea and just
Yeah.
buy it.
Well, it'll be personally made for us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But not by children.
but not like kids.
It might be personally
community.
made by children. We don't know what the labor force is.
Well, then you should get it for free, right?
Yeah.
No, we won't go down there.
Okay.
Okay. And then what else? I mean, so is that the only thing we're going to discuss for the?
Well, we had the invasive species chart we were going to reuse from last year. I believe that we have a variety of brochures and things like
I
that.
don't want to dig too deeply into this topic since it's not on the agenda and
Okay.
we're not supposed to discuss things that are not on the agenda. If there's any
No, fair enough.
anything that we absolutely have to resolve, like the piñata issue, then I would want to go ahead and do that rather than,
The other part,
cause chaos and doom.
the other part of the pinata issue that we need to resolve that maybe you could come up with some ideas on, Natalie. I don't know if you can or not. Is how we're going to hang it and what we're going to hang it from.
Yeah, and what we're going to put in it. So we'll all think about
Okay.
those things.
Maybe we can do
We
that.
will not
via
make any
email.
decisions tonight.
Okay. Okay. Sorry for the diversion, but that's
No, it was a
important.
worthwhile diversion.
Was the subcommittee going to meet about that at all?
I don't know who the subcommittee is. I
It's
know it's
me
not me.
and
Me.
you. Okay,
So maybe you can stay after
sure.
I leave and meet about
We
it.
can discuss, yeah, absolutely.
That seems fine to me. Okay, impromptu meeting of the Community Festival Subcommittee scheduled for 8 o'clock tonight. Okay. Street tree list. What are we still trying to accomplish with that?
From
Well-
what I understand, I think we just wanted to take invasives off or recommend for them to be taken off.
My personal wish is to expand this list Because of how many tens of thousands of species of trees in the world, it seems to me we ought to be able to come up with more than 10 or 20. Although I'm not enough of a tree geek to tell you what they would be. So this originally came up because we felt we needed to revisit it before we presented it to the businesses of the industrial park, since they're going to need to be replacing those Monterey pines.
Right.
Now, I personally have not come up with any additions to this list. I thought Sean Sweeney already made notes about which ones he feels needs to be removed.
You know, he did, and he provided those notes handwritten. And Natalie, it was before you were here, I believe. It was right before you came that first summer.
Only thing that I found from him were these types of notes, but these are more like descriptions, I feel.
Yeah, I have this, and it says Sean Sweeney on it.
Which one?
The second copy.
Right. But nothing that actually like struck out individual selections from the list as written, right?
No.
Yeah.
Well, if it's okay, I would like us to kind of table this maybe for another month or two and kind of review this again with Sean. He's a neighbor, and I can go over it with him and ask him again to sort of review this, and then also have maybe Joe Cannon review it as well, just to make sure, because like some of the things that we have on here, I would want to look up because they have common names and then they have the Latin names, and I know that some of them might be considered good street trees, but some of them that are drought tolerant, like, also depends where you put them. They spew little red things on the ground, or they have sticky things that get all over the car, or they're highly alert allergens and that type of thing. So I just think, and maybe I'll do some research and get the illustrations of these so we also know what they look like.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, because a lot of times you see something and it sounds like Brisbane box is a really cool thing because it's Brisbane, but they're talking Brisbane, Australia, which is a completely different climate than here.
That's where eucalyptus comes from, right?
Australia?
Yeah.
Yeah, except they have 603 species of eucalyptus in Australia, and Eucalyptus globulus isn't the best one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Can I make a staff comment on that?
Yeah.
Yes, please.
I'd be interested in you guys figuring out if you are trying to do both things, come up with a list for the properties or have comments on street trees, because those are kind of two separate things. And those are good comments, Michelle. Street trees, there are a lot of things that are factors in deciding what makes a good street tree that may or may not apply on private property off of the city right of way. So kind of two distinct groupings, and are you guys attempting to, attack both, or primarily the Monterey pines, and then maybe you want to offer recommendations on the street tree list, because it's not, the street tree list, is probably not indefensible. It's been around a long time, and you guys have some good ideas, but there's, at some point, probably an arborist looked at that, and that might be the direction that would go if you wanted to make recommendations to change it, is we'd need someone official to work on that. So are you guys trying to work on both, or are you trying to maybe first work on the properties in Crocker and then at some point comment on the street tree list?
May I? At one point, we talked about putting the street trees, or all of the trees, into a spreadsheet, and then tagging them. Which ones are good tall street trees, which ones are good short street trees, which ones are good for private property. It was my ambition that we could put together a comprehensive list. that would have, because some street trees are also good property trees. But I completely get your point, Karen, that they're not always interchangeable. There are definitely some that are one or the other. So, yeah, maybe I can start that process if you send me a email and remind me. Natalie, would you do that?
I sent you a template.
Huh.
That was probably after last month's meeting.
I took off for New Zealand right after last month's meeting, pretty quick. So I did not get a lot. It may have just gone into the big black Ethernet void. So if you have a template, please send it to me again.
Mm-hmm.
And this time, hopefully, it'll stay at the top of my inbox. I will see it.
And from my point of view on the street tree list, or on the city-approved tree list, I'm looking to have both an informative thing that people can choose trees for their private property that are complementary to our habitat.
Oh,
that
yes.
Don't spread, things that we don't want in the environment, and then also to have street trees that, because eventually they get replaced, and street trees that are compatible also with the environment and our habitat on the mountain. And then also to have trees that are good choices for replacements for the Monterey pine trees that we are losing all over the place. And not to make choices that seemed like they were a great choice at the time that have turned out to be a less than stellar choice 50 years later or 30 years later. And a good example is the now rather large redwood grove right in the middle of town, surrounding the library and the library park. Those trees have the potential to become extremely huge, and they're not native to this area, and as beautiful as they are in some ways, they have grown huge, and they were planted in like 1981, 82, somewhere right around there, and they're gigantic now, and pretty soon they're going to get even bigger, and they take a lot of water, and they deposit a lot of debris on the library roof, and so I want to make sure that if someone's going to plant a tree, or I love trees, don't get me wrong, I love trees. Not all trees should be here. And so that's kind of my motivation. And the street tree list has a lot of non-natives on it. And a lot of times non-natives, when they're first chosen as a street tree, they seem like a great idea. They grow fast, they grow tall, they're gorgeous, they put out these red flowers or whatever. And as time goes on, you realize that wasn't the best choice. Some trees have a limited lifespan. Some trees just make a mess, and it doesn't look like they make a mess when you first see them, but then as they get older, they change. Black acacias were brought into Brisbane, and at first they were beautiful big street trees, and when I was a child, there was gigantic black acacias growing up and down Visitation Avenue. Well, it turned out to be a horrible allergen, and that they spread by root runners, and they get really large, and when they get really large, they split in this environment. And, one of them took out a car at one point, and then somebody came and chopped them all down. And so...
Karen, I have a question. Is the city street tree list, is that like an official document kind of written in the form of like an ordinance or something that, you have to do or the city has to follow? Or is it more like informal guidance? I guess the purpose of the question is, would it be possible to amend the street tree list, to provide additional information, kind of like has been discussed here, that, this might be good for this, or this might be good for that, or does the street tree list have to really stay as a separate, guiding document for city work, and then any other reference would have to be outside of that document?
That's a good question, and it's in between your first two comments. It's practice to use that list, and it is a guiding document for streets in the right-of-way.
Right.
It's not adopted by ordinance, but it is in practice always been, well, for a period of time that I've been here, and as far as I know, used. So this committee making recommendations to change it I don't think it's completely indefensible. It's been around a long time, and I don't know how long ago it was looked at, and certainly there are things that are not native on the list. They were selected to be appropriate trees for the right-of-way and in the environment in the smaller area, and that don't push up sidewalks and don't require excessive maintenance and all of the criteria, but that doesn't mean they're the only possible trees, and we may not have found some that work better or worse than others on that list. So
Right, yeah. So like the hindsight of experience can maybe give us a hint on how to potentially amend the list or something, to remove non-natives or to the earlier points of just like, oh well, this one didn't quite work out the way we thought it would. Okay, cool. Well, thanks.
And
yeah.
in the bigger picture, it appears like you guys are biting off a big piece. It makes a lot of sense about your interest in the trees that are planted in the right-of-way and on private property and guiding people on private property, whether it be residential or commercial. And I'm tending to think that you guys are the citizen committee that wants to recommend to the council, hey, we think that this should be taken a look at. And then we would ask if they would fund having an arborist give. It's a lot for you guys to make all the recommendations about the trees, because I'm not an expert and I don't know that.
Certainly
you
outside
guys,
of my expertise.
Right, so kind of, I think optimally take a step back and say, hey, we'd like to see the council go ahead and put some money in and get an arborist, and we'd look over a list that they came up with, or we'd have guiding recommendations, but maybe not that you guys select every single tree that's you want to recommend be on or off the list. That's a lot to take on.
That's where Sean's input was extremely valuable, because he did do that for his career with the city of San Francisco, and so he is very knowledgeable about a lot of that. And
and you have the San Francisco.
Yeah,
they
it's
have a
here.
tree list that's included.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We have that. So,
Okay.
I respect your opinion, Karen. I would like this committee, particularly anybody who flags a tree from removal from the list, has to suggest 2 possible alternatives.
Okay.
Because this list has to grow. We need more options. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
And then hopefully the rest of it will just be compiling information, which Natalie and I can do. And then at some point, I'm sure you're right, we will need to have an arborist come in. I believe different departments, like the Park and Rec, I think also has its own pet tree list. So my idea was to put all of this into a spreadsheet, which departments want which trees, and just have all of this laid out in one document so that everybody can do with whatever they need to do with the document, but it's all in one place. I'm living in a fantasy. La, 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 la.
I'd just add something to that. It should be kind of a living document where we can make adjustments, because, for example, some things that we thought were going to be good, like all those podocarpus or whatever they were that we planted years and years ago. Mm-hmm. I can't remember what they even were called now. Shrubbery at the yacht out at the marina that grew into trees and then developed a nasty little disease and then had to be removed.
The myoprim.
The myoprim. That's
Myoprim,
it.
yeah.
Yeah, the myoprim. And so that, was on an approved tree list at one point, or an approved shrubbery list, and now it's not.
Well, thrips can get into anything.
Yeah, but we need to stay current with what's the changing environment.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
I don't, just for sake of interest, I'm not sure that there's an approved shrubbery list. There may be some practice and history, but I don't know if there's...
Well, those were planted as shrubberies,
Yeah.
and they got pruned and grown into trees.
Yeah,
And then everybody's like, you took out the trees. I'm like, they're not trees, they're shrubbery, damn it.
Yeah, myoprims are pretty...
Yeah. They started out as bushes.
All right, does anybody else have anything they'd like to say regarding the street tree list?
Mm-mm.
Okay. Ball's in my court. Natalie, your serve. We are skipping number 5 and 5I. We are skipping number 6. Number 7, Natalie, would you like to give us an update? Polystyrene ban?
So we've done the outreach. We're pretty much complete. We gave phone calls to people that were suspected of using styrofoam packaging, and no one really appeared to have a problem. They didn't have an issue with complying in the future that we would adopt an ordinance. So I have input
Can you explain that a little more? Like, nobody had a problem with the ordinance except if we did it, or what?
So no one had a problem with ceasing use of styrofoam products. Yeah.
Okay, so I just recently went to Lucky House, and I hadn't been there for a really long time. And they have all the styrofoam containers, and I said, "Oh, did you know we're going to pass the polystyrene ban?" And like, "No, we didn't know that. Really? When? Oh my gosh!" And I said, "Well, we sent a letter, so maybe the owner saw it, but."
They have changed owners or something like that because they were closed for a while and then reopened.
Lucky House?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know.
And then Mitch Bull went and spoke to them personally and communicated with them the best that he could. And they will be great. There will be a grace period of when they can reuse the remaining of styrofoam that they have.
Okay. Has this been like in the last 2 weeks? Because it's been in the last 2 weeks that I went there.
I suppose it depends who you talk to. I mean,
Okay.
if you spoke to the waitress or someone like that, maybe they don't know. But
The owner's son.
Oh, maybe he
well,
didn't know.
he's the son
Okay.
owner.
Okay. I was just worried because I want to make sure that that they are all on board and that because I really want us to move forward with this.
That's a great transition to talking about the ordinance, and I don't know if when Natalie was able to send it out and if you read it, but I've been brought up to speed, hopefully completely enough, that it's a similar practice or a similar process to what happened with the plastic bag ordinance that the city of Brisbane adopted, the one that had the same contents as the county, and county environmental health then will do the enforcement. And if we wanted to adopt something different, then burden would be upon us to find a way to do enforcement, and that cost would be passed to us. So as staff, let us know if you need a water break. As staff, we're recommending that we adopt the county ordinance. So I don't know if you're going to need time to read it, but I guess there will be an environmental process, and then staff can take that to council. I think we're at the point that we're.
May I, since you're hiccuping? I highly recommend we go with the county ordinance so that we can enact it a lot faster than trying to do our own with an EIR, et cetera, et cetera. And I say, I move that we do that.
I second that as a recommendation. Certainly don't think that we need to reinvent the wheel if there's already something out there and there will be enforcement provided. We'd want to balance any additional effect that we would get with the costs of bearing that. I think that would be considerable for the marginal benefit we might get for tweaking it.
Yep. I'm absolutely fine with the ordinance as written. I have a little fantasy that I'm going to share with you. And that little fantasy is that all the businesses would get together and use the same set of containers so that when I brought them home and washed them up, they'd all stack in my cabinet.
Well, Barbara, I know exactly how you can make this fantasy come true.
How?
You go around personally to each business and get them to that you
Patronize.
And get them all to put together a group order and organize it just like you did with the school supplies.
Yeah, and when
And they'll probably get a discounted rate.
Yep. I think that's more of a chamber issue, but I don't have any sway with chamber, so.
You can make your fantasy come true.
I could.
I think it's a business opportunity. You could start selling said product and go and make them all your customers.
Yes.
Yes. It's a good fantasy, but this is why it's a fantasy. I don't have time for this blank. But I just wanted to share my fantasy. Because I'm enjoying all this plasticware that I have in my cupboard that I can repurpose now, but it does not stack.
No.
It's always like this.
Yep.
I think the members of the community that have joined us in the audience will vouch for the fact that I like my plasticware to stack as well.
Yes. Welcome, members of the community in the audience. And my husband concurs with you on that.
Yeah.
It's a matter of efficiency.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, so any other silly comments on the polystyrene ban? Or sensible comments on the
Well, I mean, I would say let's just try to get it in as quickly as possible. It's where I feel like we're lagging here when
Yeah.
everywhere outside of our fair town, I go and I get compostable stuff. And when I,
What do we need to
Yeah.
move this forward, Natalie?
Or
Karen?
We don't need anything. I will
Okay.
let you know when I get it on the council's agenda.
Yeah,
yay,
so-
awesome.
Can you be obnoxious about that?
Absolutely, yeah.
Thank
I
you.
mean, whatever, I need to understand what the environmental process is and start that, and then,
I thought that the if we went with the county polystyrene ban, the environmental process had already been done.
that could be true. That was true in the plastic bag ordinance, so then,
I believe it's true with what I read for this one as well.
I believe so too, but please make yourself comfortable, Karen.
okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, number 8, invasive species brochure, which we all have in miniature right here. It's very cute.
It's a wallet card.
Is this going to be the actual size then?
Not if you want people to read it.
Okay. Well, I could read this, but that's,
Wait a few years.
Yeah. I'm already starting to get in a little trouble. And we did all the edits, and it's off to the printer, and I dare not look at it because I can't make any comments. And
So, the person that I was working with that works for Alana, she says that, I guess she sent it off to the printer. They're doing one last mock-up. I think they'll send it back to me
okay,
for a last change.
okay.
I printed your licorice blurb if anyone else wants to look at it. So I'll have them change that. So I suppose, I'm not sure when I'm getting this last edit, but if you guys get edits to me, then I can shoot them to her.
Okay.
One edit that I see, just looking at it right now, is the it's hard to tell, but this break here where you've got one line down, an orphan line at the bottom here, and then up above it starts, that orphan line needs to move up with its other part,
Oh, yeah.
even if it needs to be spaced a little differently.
Yeah. It's traditional not to have less than 2 lines of any one paragraph on a page.
But I think that the work that's been done here looks really, really good, and I will take a longer look at this. And Natalie, did you have a larger electronic version of this? Did you send a larger electronic version of this or not?
Yes, I
You did? Okay. So it's in one of those emails that I have not read in the last couple of weeks. Okay. Because I'll look at it, and then I'll carefully look for anything else that might be.
The most recent one was sent in the packet for today.
Okay, look at that one. Don't look at the others.
Okay.
All right. Any more?
Nice work, you guys. And
Yeah.
I love the picture you found, Natalie, for the cover.
Great.
Really nice. Well, I assume it's high enough res to,
Yes.
yeah.
That is a nice picture. You found that one, Natalie?
Good
Very
job on
nice.
that. Really
Kudos
I
to
took,
Natalie.
I took the Mission Blue one myself.
Very sweet.
Wow.
My sister painted that sign.
Natalie, I did have one comment on the brochure or on the thing, and it's a very minor point. I put it in the email, but I was wondering if because on the Scotch broom, it's justified on both the left and the right, and so the text is the block of text is even, but then on the other ones, it's only justified on the left side. And I was if it's not too late. Do you understand what I mean? Like if you look at the Scotch broom.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, but if they are doing a new mock-up of the text, it should be trivial for them to just align that on both sides, but I think it would make a little bit of a difference, but
So
if
you want
not,
the ragged ragged right.
No.
You want everything?
I like it straight and proper on both sides, but I think consistency would be the best. Changing the Scotch broom so it's like all the others is one solution, or changing all the others so it's like the Scotch broom is. But it is a real minor point. It's just kind of from a layout perspective. But
Yeah.
No,
No, I like the block for this document, but
Yeah.
either way, however it gets resolved, yes.
Yeah.
Please resolve it. Okay. Any more comments?
So you guys are all saying block instead of ragged right. Is that what you're all saying?
yeah.
Love to see how it looks both ways.
well, yeah. Look at the Scotch broom one. See,
No, I know.
Yeah.
But everything else is ragged right,
Yeah.
It's unjustified.
unjustified.
Yeah. Getting
Now, let's not get so down on it, you guys. Unjustified is a pretty harsh term.
No, it's the technical. If you looked in.
I know,
Okay, I'm
I'm-
sorry. I didn't.
I'm
yeah.
squirrely tonight, I'm sorry. I had half a glass of wine while I was cooking.
Oh my goodness.
Anyway, great work on that.
Yeah. No, it looks really good.
Yes, okay. And more comments can be sent to Natalie via email. That takes us to number 9, approval of the minutes, which we are not doing, which takes us on to number 10, adjournment.
God, that would be amazing. So do we know what we're doing for our agenda items for the next meeting, right?
We have a card for you, Michelle.
Oh, thank you.
We didn't put it on the agenda, so it could be a surprise.
Yeah.
Oh, that's very sweet. As you know, my dad was a great inspiration to me and to my sister and my whole family, and to a lot of people in Brisbane, and so was my mom. And he will definitely be missed, probably by me most of all. So thank you very much. And I really hope to continue to make his memory proud by standing up for what's right for Brisbane, even when it's not popular. So, and if it wasn't for Dad and Clark's dad and Red Williams and John Turner and Ed Schwinderloff, we wouldn't have had to read the draft EIR for the Baylands because it would have been in Daly City. So that's always a good thing to remember, that our first city council made sure we had that legacy and that land came to Brisbane. Snuck it right out from under Daly City. Seriously. And the same thing with the area along Bayshore Boulevard and some of the other areas in Brisbane that we have. So as challenging as us making decisions and trying to do the right thing on the Baylands, it is our obligation to do that. So thanks a lot, Dad.
Thank you, Michelle. Actually, before we adjourn, do we need to discuss next meeting, plan next meeting, or
Yeah.
should we do that via email since we're missing?
I'd love to know when it's supposed to be planned for.
Yeah, what's our standard?
September 10 still.
Okay.
Should we go over what I have on the agenda so far?
That'd be great.
Yep, lovely.
We move Levinson property. We have pave yards and permeable pavements. Approval of minutes from, which will be from this meeting and the last meeting. Community Festival. Littman Science Fair. Lot coverage and interior courtyards. Local wildlife education.
And prioritization,
And the work plan.
the work plan.
Don't forget 99 Thomas Avenue. Do we want to discuss that, or do we want to just hear back on whether it's part of the acres or not, and then agendize it later?
Is it possible for you, Natalie, to send out something to let us know whether it is or is not? Is it possible to communicate that? I guess because that's not a decision. And let us assume that if it is, that we would like it then to be on the agenda.
Can I make a suggestion about our next meeting too?
Sure.
Is it too difficult to start at 6 for our next meeting?
It is hard for me because my husband is not. But Brian's getting old enough. He's a little older now. Maybe it would be okay to.
I can try. It's
Leave him
hard, it's
wild.
harder for me, but I can.
I'm just saying that we have a really long agenda for the next meeting, and it's all stuff that needs to get done sooner rather than later.
Yes.
And I'm concerned that by 8:30, people are tired and want to go home, and 9 o'clock gets too late to make reasonable decisions. So I'm just thinking for this one meeting,
Yeah.
if Glenn can and Michael can, to start at 6 and plow through the stuff a lot faster so that we can get it all done.
No, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I'm fine with it. If everybody can make it, then let's go ahead and try it, at least for one meeting.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
All right. So, anybody care to make a movement to adjourn?
I move to adjourn.
I second.
So carried.
And thank you for having a short meeting tonight, because now I need to go to the Mountain Watch meeting.
Yep. For you, Michelle.
Thank you. And thank you for the lovely card. I really appreciate it. And all the totally warm wishes and memories that I've had from so many people.